DreamHack ASTRO Open is brought to you by ASTRO, Monster Energy, Corsair, Zowie, and Intel.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Sweden is a northern nation. The capital city of Stockholm lies on the 59th parallel. As such, it's not entirely unexpected that the country gets some pretty wicked winter weather. And as much as winters can be cold and long, many Swedes enjoy being outside, active even in the snowy weather. Ladies and gentlemen, that is what we're in. The winter, the tundra. DreamHack ASTRO Open Winter 2017 here. My name is Trey Saranthus. I am your host with not always the most here, and that's right, I'm joined by Sponge and Pimp. Guys, we got one more initial matchup, and Sponge gives me the crooked eye, so let's hear what the Beaver has to say himself.
Does it snow where you're from?
No.
Well, it obviously snows where you're from. Doesn't snow where I'm from. Like in one place, we got a mountain.
I don't live that life. I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how life has sustained in some parts of the world where it gets this cold. But ultimately, I think it's time we take a look at the brackets here.
I think the answer is why they're so good at Counter-Strike, right? Is because they just stay indoors playing CS all the time because it's only light for 3 hours a day. But anyway...
I mean, you're just calling it how you see it. That's how I see it. You know?
Games have gone as predicted thus far. I think all of us are right, and if none of us predict against each other, we can all continue to be on the same pegging.
It's unison, right?
Yeah,
It's same team, same fight here at the analyst desk where we try to predict. And I think we're 100% right now, right?
That's how I like to live my life.
100%. Well, either way, we've seen Gambit, Mouse Sports, Navi all grab W's today. We're going to be going on to EnvyUs and BiG, which will be our next best of one. And ultimately, guys, is this one we can be excited for?
Yes.
I'd say so. Like, it's two teams who both are struggling to find their, like, I wouldn't say identity, but maybe their place in the world rankings right now.
You're talking to me and Stunner's #1 crisis right now, mate. Anyway, continue. Continue.
Their place in the world.
Yeah.
So there you go. It's like BiG had a great showing at the major, as we all know, and it was like sort of like it went down to Inferno, basically, the major one, right? If you stretch it a little bit.
Yeah.
Whereas EnvyUs has been like a bit in and out. You know, they're producing some great results and some poor results and some great results, and it's like it's never really clicked for them completely. But they show glimpses of potential all the time. Whereas BiG have showed big potential, but also showed how horrible they can be.
Yeah, we could maybe almost remove the major from the records of Counter-Strike, potentially. We had an Immortals versus Gambit grand final with BiG getting through the group stage, playing one map and abusing a bug.
And when you say it like that, Chad, you really do bring it full circle.
Someone's got to be a realist, you know?
Someone's got to put it out there for you, the viewer at home, to understand why there might be a couple asterisks around things. But that doesn't matter because today we're not at the major. We're at the DreamHack ASTRO Open Winter 2017, and it's going to be one map between these two teams. Let's start with EnvyUs. We can talk a little bit about their inconsistencies. We can talk about where this team stands. One thing I would like to note is RPK coming out, gunning them up all year long.
Yeah, he's kind of like had a bit of a resurgence, right? Back in the Source days, we remember this quite well. This guy was a beast in the Very Games unit. He was just absolutely ripping everyone apart, up there for the best Source player of all time. Now, you know, he had a bit of an off period. He had a bit of downtime. He removed himself from the game. He's come back, and it didn't work out straight away. But he's got back to some really good form, and he's been the one, you know, leading the way for this squad. He's got his sidearms of Scream and Happy chiming in every now and again. XMS can be impressive at times. Sixer is the one with the AWP who probably gets the most flack, but even in Oakland, I think he had a better performance. So this team as a whole, they're looking like they're going in a good direction, and they're actually having kind of better results than what I think people give them credit for.
Yeah, I agree. It's like it's a weird team in that sense, you know, because you have the likes of Scream and Happy and also RPK who now returns into form. You know, if you look at those players, like previously at least in their careers, like they're strong players. They've achieved great things and they can achieve great things. So it's kind of like it's weird to me. It hasn't been better for them in such a long time. But I think as Chad is saying, like it's trending upwards. It's going the right direction, and maybe they're actually producing better results than we actually will give them credit for.
It's just they have close games. That's all. Sorry, just to.
And I mean, like we spoke about earlier, this is a team where they might have Scream go off. They might have RPK go off. But what happens when it's not more than one of them going off is ultimately what's seemingly leaving them in rough spots.
for sure. And it doesn't seem to be the case that more than one of them is going off. Like, it's been RPK for a while now, who's been like solely been the backbone of their team. And then Happy's chiming in a little bit, Scream is chiming in a little bit, but it's not consistent at all. And that is the big problem, you know, that consistency, both in individual plays, but also as a team. As I said, you know, they produce fine results, but they also produce horrible results. And they need to find some sort of consistency and like at least a decent level when they're not playing well.
Well, we're going to take a look now at this EnvyUs lineup. We do see them sitting down, getting strapped in those comfy Maxonomic chairs.
Oh, they're the
Chad.
good ones. Yeah, call me. So, like, just an example, you know, of a player like RPK that we're talking about being such a beast for this team. If you just look back at IEM Oakland, which feels like yesterday, they had that matchup against SK on Cobblestone where RPK in overtime, he basically dragged them to overtime. They still went down, but he had 44 frags. He went plus 16. The next closest on his team was -1, right? So this guy just does a lot of work, and if he can hit his full potential and other players can chime in and, you know, get the frags that they need to, they can take a team like SK, you know, currently the #1 team in the world, to the limit. So that's one of these exciting prospects about this this EnvyUs squad.
Yeah, this EnvyUs squad. I mean, you just kind of have to reference the sort of inconsistencies there and hope that they're able to piece together more than just one or two hitters today. That is. However, flipping the script and looking over on the big side of things, what do we know about BiG, Pimp?
Well, we know the team that likes to play Inferno, or at least they were, when they could use a little buck, you could say. It's a team that has been like out of the loop for some time, and then they did that big major thing, you know, where they qualified for the major and they did qualify for top 8 at the major as well. They did well. It's a team not of many stars, you know, but they have one clear star, and that's Tabson. He's the sole backbone of that team, and he's been like, I'd say even in that period, like he was one of the best players in the world. I even say like one of the best entry fraggers I've ever seen play so well over such a long period. Yeah. Normally you talk about Apex being a great entry fragger, but that's usually for one event at a time, you know, then he goes missing for 3, where Tabson was their best player in I don't know how many events, and that was pretty impressive to me back then.
If we wind back to DreamHack Leipzig at the start of the year, right, Tabson and this roster, they were just absolutely beasting. It's kind of when they just first formed, and I think they just added Keeve at that point, or they just formed in a roster, right? And they looked exciting. They would look like a hot team that, you know, could potentially lead and fly that German flag. And obviously we had a really good performance coming out of them at the major. That's off the back of some fantastic strats from GodB. Now, sure, I mentioned the bug, right? They used it. You know, I wouldn't do anything to win. I would probably done the same thing if I was in their boat. But you got to look on top of that. You got to look at the levels of their game. They had a really long lead into the major. They were able to produce a lot of strategies. They were able to come up with a lot of different takes on the game, and they just kept getting given Inferno, which they somewhat revolutionized certain executes, which was really nice to see. And I think that's one of the biggest things that this squad has to offer for me, is the idea that an in-game leader with such a long history in the game and so many good ideas can produce exciting Counter-Strike, exciting strategies, and that's what I really I get off on my Friday night.
Get off on
my Friday
It's like, you know, as long as it's only on Fridays and not just normally Tuesdays and Wednesdays or weekdays. You know, you limit it to one day. You have self-control.
I keep my play for the weekends.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is that so?
Yeah.
Well, even going further down the path of BiG, we could talk about just some of the chemistry that should be really prevalent. Would be, say, Gabi, Legia, or I mean Legia. I mean,
Absolutely, yeah.
Looking at this lineup, they should seemingly have this sort of cohesion.
I mean, this is a team that prepared, as Chad said, like so well for the major and spent so much time together boot camping for the major. And after the major, they went on a summer holiday together, the whole team, you know, the whole management, all the players. They took like a summer vacation together, all of them, like treating this little project as a family.
Yeah.
And that's cool, you know. I don't think we've seen that before from anyone. Ever.
Yeah, other teams like SK, they've lived in each other's pockets for the better part of like 3 years
but
now.
Even when they go to holiday, they like need some time away from each other. It doesn't seem like that's the problem for these guys. Yeah. We talked about it, you know, Tabson, the big star, and the problem for BiG is that they, like you talked about GodB as well. He's a great leader and he's a great strategical leader, but his lack of firepower combined with Legia's lack of firepower is a problem for BiG, because they don't have that clear second star, you know. The Nex or the Keeves on this team are not good enough to be that second star, or at least not firepower, or at least don't have not enough firepower to be good enough to make up for GodB not fragging too much.
Yeah, there are a few shortcomings that BiG have to deal with.
I mean, even talking about that, this is a team that put together this organization too. So it's not even that they're just teammates. We're talking about, I dare I say, business partners at this point. I guess the bond could be stronger than a normal team in that light. But I think you're right, though, when it comes to getting away and taking a break from one another. Either way, guys, I'm going to have to skip on forward a little bit.
Okay, we can jump forward.
Chad, are you ready for this?
I hope so.
We're going to look at the Vetos.
Oh, okay. You've thrown a spam.
I had to throw a little curveball your way.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and load up the Vetos now. Again, this is a best of one. Yes, our last initial matchup of the day here. And we're going to see the Vetos coming out real shortly, if not almost. How about right now? Boom,
Drum
there it
roll,
is.
please.
Nuke for Big, and then I guess...
Here we go. If it ends up on Cobblestone, EnvyUs is going to be super happy.
Yeah.
I would not be giving EnvyUs Cobblestone. That's probably one that I would definitely be trying to avoid if I was on the side of Big. I would be avoiding Inferno if I was EnvyUs. I'd be trying to ban that one out of play. And Big actually banned it themselves, so that's interesting.
They have a lot of maps in common. I'd say, like, even say Overpass would be a decent map for EnvyUs as well. But
Are they really going to ban? So right now they have the choice on the EnvyUs side between Cobblestone and Cache.
Cache.
Wow, and they've
Going
actually
to
gone
Cache.
for it. All right.
Well, how about that? We're going to be going to cash between EnvyUs and Big here. Again, just the best of one, but trying to get a solid footing in the tournament. Winning now and winning later on today is definitely where you want to be if you're a team here.
for sure, and especially on Cache, I feel that's a good map for BiG in this sense. You know, they used to be very good on it, and GOB used to be very good on it with mouse sports back in the days. NRG, his former team, used to be very good on Cache. It seems like that's a map GOB has under control with his leadership. So I'd be a little bit worried if I were EnvyUs. On the other hand, Happy has been the master of Cache as well with that EnvyUs puck style. You know, so it's two teams who know how to play the map, or at least knew how to play the map. Whatever they can today, we're gonna see now, I guess.
Sure.
Well, you know, we're also going to see now 3 reasons why.
Ooh, one of the favorite parts of the day. So, I've got the 3 reasons why I think BiG are going to have a rough time. Reason number 1. They're very top-heavy with the stars. Tabson and Next can only do so much, and GOB can only reinvent the wheel strategy-wise so often. They really need Keith to step up as that 3rd star, and Legia and GOB just to get the work done. You know, they don't need to put in huge numbers, but just make the kills they need to avoid those whiffs. We got reason number 2, and we've already talked a lot about this man, Mr. RPK himself. He's an absolute beast, and I think time and time again, he's just going to be rocking up. He's going to be putting numbers on the board and making BiG's life very, very difficult. And reason number 3, I was wandering around when we had that technical difficulty. I saw the Frenchies. They're in search of some Nutella crepes, and we all know crepes are French. And if they got those Nutella crepes, I think a certain level of power is going to be unlocked within these boys, and they're just going to destroy the BiG roster.
Oh, man. When you break it down that far, Chad, honestly, I think he's onto something. What do you think?
I think he got it.
Who doesn't like a Nutella crepe?
You do.
Oh, really?
Listen, that's for another time. But you know what time it is? It is certainly time for you guys to give me your predictions. Now, we're going to start with you, Pimp. Who are you thinking walks away with this one?
Well, I think this is the first time we're gonna disagree with each other. I'm going for BiG. I think Cache is theirs to win, and I think EnvyUs have. At least I have a relationship to EnvyUs now where, like, I don't want to bet on them. I don't want to put my money on EnvyUs. I feel it's too unstable. I feel it's too inconsistent, and I feel BiG. You know, this is around the time they need to step up again if they want to have any hopes whatsoever doing well at the major. They need some sort of positive going into the break if they have to do well at the upcoming season. So BiG has prepared well for this tournament, and I think we're gonna see a big win on Cache.
I'm going to go with EnvyUs purely because I think that they have had a high caliber of opponents that they've played against later, and they've played a decent brand of Counter-Strike against those teams, and they've actually been bringing a newer style. It's not just the happy 4-1 bait. He's actually been involving them in new strategies, and I think that more players in this squad are chiming in and stepping up. And this map on its own as well, I think players like Scream and XMS I've seen have very good impact. So if they can chime in with RPK, I think it should be EnvyUs' victory.
Well, you guys are leaving me in a real Monka's situation here. And ultimately, you know what? I can't deny Mr. Scream and the team that is RBK right now. I'm going to have to side with EnvyUs as well. No favoritism, of course. It's just pure speculation. Either way, we're ready to jump into this bad boy, and I hope you are at home ready to jump in with us. Our commentator's going to be sitting by, and they're also ready to jump into it. How's it going over there?
It's going good. Cheers, Stunner. Ven's now joining me. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
Vin got to sleep in, huh?
Vin came to work today.
Vin got to sleep in. So Vince has gotten out of bed. He's gone, oh, bloody hell. Chaddy's jumped in for Lauren. Lauren's not feeling well. I better get over there. And Vin's gone, nah. It's all right.
I got to sleep in, man. Like, first time in, I can't even remember when. So I'm super happy. I'm enjoying life right now.
Well, I tell you what, you can enjoy it just a little bit more by bringing us this game.
Will do.
Yeah, so EnvyUs BiG. I'm actually really torn between who I think is going to win this game. I could see it going a distance. Like, I honestly could see this having potentially overtime written all over it.
What, the Nutella crepe theory didn't really sit through with you?
No.
No?
Sorry, Sponge.
I was fully sold on that at that point. I was already leaning towards EnvyUs, but, as soon as I saw the Nutella crepes come out, my heart was set. I think EnvyUs actually have a pretty good shot at, getting a convincing victory here.
Convincing. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that goes into it. Obviously, one of them is BiG's recent form. They haven't really been performing very well, dropping maps left and right versus opponents you wouldn't expect, a Legend team to actually do. So they really haven't found their stride as of yet, haven't shown the same kind of level as they did. I guess the last time we saw them play really well was probably back at Mykonos. And that's, starting to become a while since. So I'm leaning more towards EnvyUs. I think what Chad mentioned about Envy on a regular basis playing higher caliber teams, even though they're not necessarily getting all the wins, they've shown decent form and actually solid performances. And obviously the factor of RPK being back to pretty much his prime peak in that sense from what we've seen of him in CSGO is going to play a big factor.
See, my problem every time I want to edge with EnvyUs is I've just been burned so many times.
Oh yeah, no, they'll do that to you.
Yeah, I mean RPK, like a lot of people have said this, but it's with good reason. He has been phenomenal recently. His form has been unbelievable. But my issue is that if RPK has like a bit of an off game, or if there isn't someone there to help him out, there's been times when we've seen him drop 30s and no one else has really performed and he still loses.
Yeah.
So I do have serious concerns as to whether EnvyUs can have that firepower, the cohesiveness to take down BiG. But I completely agree with you. This is why I think it's going to be so close. I don't think either of these teams coming into this game are in particularly amazing form.
Yeah,
they both had their issues.
Oh, they definitely had. I mean, it's been a while since we've seen Envy have any sort of consistency to their game, which is obviously a massive issue when you want to establish yourself as one of the better teams in the world. For me, I think they kind of suffer from the same issue on the side of BiG as they do with what you mentioned of Envy, where you can have one player show up in a big way, but it's not going to be enough. And I think that's more actually evident with BiG, especially obviously with Tabs and Nex. They can go off at any given point, but oftentimes you'll see so many scoreboards of Tabs dropping 30 bombs and everybody else just sliding around 15 frags or less. And it doesn't really equate to victories versus top-level opponents.
Well, here we go, ladies and gents. Enough chit-chatter from myself and Ven. We are jumping headfirst into this map between EnvyUs and BiG. BiG starting off on the T side. And already, you can see 2 Molotovs have actually been elected for BiG. So that's quite a bit of firepower they have in their back pocket.
Yeah, 2 Molotovs, 2 smokes, actually. And for some reason, 3 decoys as well. Could be used as a fake flash or something to that effect. But with an initial nade buy like this, obviously it does allow them to have a lot of opportunities and actually close out a lot of areas of any given bomb site they want to opt to go towards. You can see the standard A take, really where you only need really 2 smokes and the Molotovs to clear out backside of quad boxes and whatnot. Same thing goes for clearing out checkers room towards B as well. But it seems like they're going to opt to go for some basic mid control without the use of nades as of right now.
Yeah, going for the boost. Can always be a little bit worrisome against the USPs at range. But Scream seems to be caught in 2 minds as to where they're about to push. However, that smoke interconnector is going to give it away a little bit. As some mid-control is now being taken. Scream's going to try and tap at range, but he gets gooshed and he's going to be falling down instantly after some taps. And so mid-control has already been taken. And now plenty more options will fall on BiG shoulders as they look to push right through onto B. XMS up in heaven. Going to see if he can maybe get a couple headshots in the approach, but it's going to be Happy who gets 2 and drops the bomb out as well. Suddenly, this round is shifting back in the favor of the CTs. The bomb has been retrieved and will be put firmly on the B site. But the man advantage still in favor of EnvyUs. And they do have a smoke that's just been tossed towards the B main side. Hit as well for XMS.
RPK in event position can also be a complete nuisance. They do have a rotation here coming out from Tabson, though, but he's going to get found out just as he's starting to get hope. And all the rest of the EnvyUs side storming onto the bomb. Easily dispatches of Legia, so successful pistol round, but it did look a little bit hairy there. Scream goes down without doing significant damage, but Happy coming in with 2 big frags to really halt their entire push. I mean, while you have the initial players from BiG pushing onto the side, Legia is putting down a Molotov on site to clear out anyone playing behind default, that kind of stuff. But it doesn't really build up to anything with Happy finding those 2. And I mean, as you can see, totally calculated as well.
Oh yeah. Meant every single bullet, of course. MP9s and MP alongside FAMAS and M4. It's going to be an AK on Tabson.
Yeah.
He is definitely one of the star players of BiG, so you understand why they've gone for that purchase.
Yeah, similar approach to what we saw Na'Vi do in their game, where they get an AK up in Simple's aim, full armor as well, and they could do a ton of damage as well. And in the long run of things, it doesn't really impact their economy in a negative way either. So cool to see more and more teams pulling this out, especially when you have players of that caliber who can actually win you around single-handedly. Added benefit as well, going up against 2 MP9s here. RPK over towards the truck area. He's going to have a rough time dealing with a AK of Tabson. Oh, hello?
That's a free kill. They're not going to pull it back, though, in the hands of a very capable RPK, but he's going to be able to get no more for his work. And now Six is going to line them up with 2 sprays. Wasn't expecting a third player to push the same angle. He was caught in 2 mines, and that's going to allow Kyiv to go for the bomb plant. That nade has absolutely shredded him, though. He's down to 12. AK and MP9 up against MP9 and UMP, but the downside is that Kyiv, only on 12, is now on a 1-on-2, and he's about to get swiped from the side by XMS's MP9. And EnvyUs hold on to the second round, but BiG did get a bomb plant and 3 kills. It's not a bad round for them either.
Yeah, and that was without investing Kevlar on, well, most of their players. Obviously, Tabson investing a little bit more than the others, Legia as well. But overall, pretty decent round from BiG there. No idea what went through the mind of Happy there, though. No smoke down in A main to get any sort of coverage, and actually jumping over towards red box. It's definitely ballsy, but might be that sugar kick from the Nutella crepes that's kicking in. We'll see. Nonetheless, though, they do get a second round on the board, but this does do damage to their economy, and that's what BiG are. You know, they smell blood in the water right now, and they're going to force up after getting that bomb plan. 4 AKs. Legia, the only one who really isn't able to buy up fully here.
Yeah, and they can definitely sense the weakness for EnvyUs. If they were to lose this, they would be in a very sketchy position, economically speaking. And Six only has a USP because he wants to get the AWP as soon as possible, but if it comes down to Sixo with just USP against these AKs and the CZ, I mean, that is going to be a massive issue for EnvyUs.
It really is. I'm actually surprised to see that it doesn't actually invest into a ZZ or something like that. He's sitting on $1,500 right now, so there's definitely room for it. And I mean, those $500 not going to go a long way really towards that AWP. He's not going to be able to afford it in the next round regardless, so bit weird to see. Nonetheless, they're getting him in a forward position though, so trying to eliminate the disadvantage of not having the range. So they are accounting for it, at least. Actually a pretty aggressive standoff here from EnvyUs initially. They're actually going to go for a boost, it seems, over by the A-bomb site. Getting RPK up there. Probably going to use Sixer as a bit of a bait then. And Happy in a very exposed position.
Yeah, I think it's because Sixer has control of A main and they have the boost as well. But now Legia is going to catch Sixer from behind, but actually misses out on the shot. And that's pretty significant. Now Sixer can trade his USP across to the CZ. He's only on 1 health though. God-B in the meanwhile, AK headshot to RPK. One of the main men is down and out. And with Sixer low, this puts so much pressure on Happy's shoulders. He knows he's effectively the last line of defense now on the A site. There is going to be a rotation in the form of Scream, who actually lands the USP into the backside of Tabson and will even the odds at 3 apiece, courtesy of Kyiv's frag onto Sixer. Now Happy's getting caught from the side, and it's going to be BiG who take control over the site. It's a really horrible duel between Scream and X, and it's going to go the way of the CTs. And now Kyiv, again, in another clutch scenario. This time, though, it is a lot better for him. He has a lot more health, he has nades, and he has an AK. And the bomb is planted. Now Scream may try and peek him, but Kyiv is too fast on the trigger, and will secure his 4K. There are so many odd moments in that round, though.
Definitely was Happy getting caught out, you know, between a rock and a hard place, really, instead of committing to one of the angles. Obviously a bit unfortunate, and the next not that stellar spray. Nice, like, neat little trick from Screen, then to drop down the AG to kind of muffle the sound of a potential diffuse, which forces Kyiv to actually commit to checking the angle and seeing what Scream's up to, seeing how the plant wasn't necessarily for them. BiG do pick up that round, and as you mentioned, the economy not in a great state for the Frenchman right now. ZZs galore. Still though, Cache is a map that does allow you to get pretty up close and personal if you want to do so, and you can see they've kind of taken that approach as well for the better part. Nobody actually looking over towards that middle area at all. That's obviously because of the range. Well, BiG aware of this, going to take full advantage to get some easy mid control. BiG are one of the teams that are very good at actually executing once they get sufficient map control. Ooh, Sixer with a very aggressive push. Would have imagined, yeah, like Legia was definitely aware of the fact that that was supposed to be a bait for someone. A Scream comes in late. Still gets the job done, though.
Good old drive by Juan D. It's going to be UMP that trades hands. The Tabson elsewhere is going to make inroads on the B side. Just down to Happy in the corner. Going to get spotted and fragged. And that will be BiG trying to get their plant on here. Scream's going to get dispatched off by Tabson. A 3K for him. And the round surely to follow. So BiG bouncing back with authority. EnvyUs didn't have much into this round.
Really didn't. Still only Sixer really who's saved up any sort of bank here at this point. He obviously wants to get that off in his hands as quickly as possible. Well, we'll see. Being able to hold on to a ZZ, UMP, well, 2 ZZs and a UMP can actually still amount to a little bit of action for EnvyUs in the upcoming round, but we won't see them actually investing into it. RPK is actually just going to donate his ZZ away in hopes of getting an exit frag. Here we have it. BiG taking care of their anti-eco rounds sufficiently, doing so. And again, it's a very basic approach, taking mid control and just pretty much playing the range and allowing yourself to have the best opportunity to have multiple options to go from. And if you find a pickoff on your way, just makes your job a whole lot easier. And we see why Tabson is regarded as a pretty lethal player. Aim on point.
Damn. Not much you can do against that. And Tabson's feeling it. And EnvyUs now into an eco, as we said. Didn't really have a great deal in terms of funds. They want to save up for the next one. They're going to be stacking together in mid, although 2 players have branched off from the rest of the team. We're going to go for a boost.
It's a very heavy committal from BiG, actually. They probably should be expecting another eco coming out from EnvyUs. I'm surprised they don't actually spit out a little bit to see if they can get some map control, but A seems to be the point of play.
Tabson does get flashed out, but the rest of his team's going to be following suit. RPK goes in for 1. That probably is all she wrote for this round. XMS was trying to sneak his way around the side, but Lagia knew exactly what was coming up. Next, shifts across. I'm not sure if he panicked the shot or what happened there, but it's going to cost him his life, and now EnvyUs are in a position where maybe they could strike. The CZ isn't great, but up close it's going to be quite the terror. And Sixer with a UMP could do so much work if he can get in the right position. He's going to drop down behind God B, and now it's all on Lagia. He's already got 2 in this round. Can he go 2 better? No, he can't, and EnvyUs are actually going to pick this round up.
That should never happen. Never, ever, ever happen. I mean, even though BiG run into an A side without any sort of information as to what's going on at all, they do go through, you know, your usual checklist, Molotoving off corners and whatnot, using the proper smokes and everything, but it's like you said, some unfortunate moments, obviously up there by Forklift as next, yeah, just kind of straves off the pretty much 1 point where anyone from the CT side could get in. A bit awkward, but sometimes that happens. Don't necessarily think it was like any sort of like misplay from Nexus side outside of just being unfortunate with his timing. Still though, racked up a decent economy, and Tabson's already getting to work with that AK. He's happy out of play.
What a terrible start for EnvyUs, though. They finally drag back the round, starting to get some momentum back, and then in the first sort of 10-15 seconds, Happy's dead.
Yeah, that's an off down as well, so heavy commitment. RPK, though, there to solve things. She's going to pick up an op as well. That's not something you see every day. He's going to bounce in, do a little bit of damage to Nex. And so far, it's just a war of attrition here in mid. But EnvyUs at least denying BiG any sort of mid control here. But they are very spread out, and XMS's position's obviously not in a place where he can actually hold BiG off from actually grabbing this B-bomb site. So it's going to be the retake game coming in from EnvyUs. They don't necessarily have too many nades. They have 2 Molotovs just getting from in BiG, but...
Oh no, that smoke whiffed.
Oh.
That smoke whiffed, and it nearly cost them so much. XMS should be doing better from that position.
Definitely should be. I mean, smoke whiffs, but XMS whiffs harder, and it seems like actually EnvyUs are perfectly fine with saving this. Again, having an op for a retake now like that is not the easiest thing, especially towards that B-bomb site, the hardest site to retake of the 2. Well, they're just going to hold on to them and go into that double op setup. And I've never really been a fan of EnvyUs' adamancy to actually just continuously go towards that double op setup. I think it's a massive investment, and I don't think they necessarily have 2 ops are good enough to justify it most of the time. But they seem to have a very set idea as to how they want to play it.
So just to backtrack a little bit, the reason why we're saying XMS whiffed hard there is because the smoke the BiG threw in was from the sunroom. You can throw it through the top window. It bounces off just past headshot and goes into CT next to the tree.
Yep.
But it landed too far left, so it effectively just went into headshot instead. And so XMS's position that should have just been completely cordoned off, he could then see 2 terrorists pushing him. So if his spray's on point there, that could have been a double frag for XMS. That could have been the round going to EnvyUs.
Even if he just picks up 1 frag, that probably allows him to just get back into hiding for the rest of the rotation to come in from EnvyUs as well. So at that point, you've kind of done your part. You know there's no real legitimate shot of you actually holding off the entire BiG execute towards the V-bomb site, so you do whatever damage you can and then wait for your teammates to have a coordinated retake. But not going to be the case for them.
So deep in thought now. The tactical timeout is about to come and go.
Malik talking words of wisdom to his teammates. With those 3 saved rifles from the previous round, we're going to see a new investment from the EnvyUs side. No head Kevlar for most of the players, but that doesn't really make too much of an impact considering they're going up against AKs. 6er with the aggressive position here. And I like to see that, but not having timid CT sides, because obviously that's something that a lot of teams, if they get off to a rocky start, a lot of back and forth shifts in terms of leads, a lot of CT sides become too afraid really to actually show any presence on the map, and obviously that makes the job for T side a whole lot easier. And 6er's really taking it to the next level here, pushing all the way forward, and he's going to be able to find next. That's a big pick off.
I like that so much though, because it now takes pressure away from A main, allowing RPK to go for the peak, because 2 players were drawn out to face off against 6er. So it's kind of that game of chess, of forcing your opponent into positions they don't want to be in. And 6er, just pure timing onto God B. Counting down in his head. Oof. And then spins around to land the shot on Keeve. I have a feeling, we didn't see that from his perspective, I have a feeling that was a ridiculous shot.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be surprised. That was pretty rapid. 6er getting off to a really good start so far. 9 and 2, definitely doing his part. Here we see the aggression that sets it all off. Honestly, the nicely timed shot through the smoke.
Here it is.
I think everybody has like a rule of thumb on that. Oh, yeah, that's fast.
Oh, even in slow motion, that looks rapid.
Yeah. Very well done by 6er. And obviously 6er is one of the players on this EnvyUs side that is often criticized for not being able to step up in games that matter and actually have an impact with this op. And obviously that's a big worry for teams if you have somebody who so heavily invest into, you know, it's the most expensive viable weapon that you purchase in this game. So if you're not able to actually do anything with it, it's not that beneficial for your side. So far, 6er coming up in a big way, and that was a massive round from him.
They were in a position here, Big, to go for a buy. It would have put 2 players down to fairly rough pistols, but they could have gone for it, knowing that EnvyUs don't have a great economy themselves, but maybe playing for the longer game instead. I mean, the last 4 rounds have gone back and forth, and typically that will hurt the CT's economy.
No, it definitely does. Well, one of the upsides, I guess, in this kind of a war of attrition is the fact that in the previous round, BiG didn't get a bomb plant down. I think if they would have been able to do so, we would have seen not necessarily a fully bought up BiG side, but at least more of an investment. 6er going to continue his good form. RPK as well.
Man, 6er is feeling it right now. Doesn't seem to be able to miss at this point. He's landed that shot through the box and won't be getting a second. But the rest is a clean-up cruise in effect that can pick up that AWP and keep 2 in play.
Ooh,
hold on.
Wow.
What happened there?
Good effort from Happy. Now he tried to drop his AWP closer to RPK.
Right. But yeah.
Didn't quite pan out, but with winning 2 rounds in a row, they will have the economy to actually buy up another one. And with the way 6er's playing right now, can't really argue with the investment.
He's 11 and 3. That just goes to show how well he's playing right now.
Well, this is more like 6er from 8 years ago than what we've seen in the last 2-3. Keep with the AWP in his hands on the side of BiG. And this time around, more of a default spread from the German side. Wouldn't be surprised if we see them going back to some basic map control here. Gonna smoke off the B entrance. Doesn't really affect Happy though, because he's playing an aggressive position here. Could actually catch someone out. But BiG seem to be fans of taking mid control here, and their slower paced rounds might be what they go back into. Actually, Keeve and Gabi really committing in towards this checkers room, and the boost here might actually
Just be so cheeky.
Tabson though is able to punish in mid here on top of the boost. That's 6er down, one of the heavy hitters for EnvyUs so far.
And credit to Happy, he didn't overstay his welcome. He did smoke and flash himself back to the site. A 6er is down, it's going to leave vulnerable spots across the map now for EnvyUs.
I like the approach from EnvyUs though. Right now they're setting up for an A retake. You can see RPK just with a very passive position over towards that car area. And the predominant forces of EnvyUs towards B here, and that seems to be the right guess.
XMS using the smoke to his will. He's going to get 2 kills, looking for a 3rd as well, but will get taken down through the smoke of Keeve. Important duel coming up right now. God B's going to get the better of it. Spins around but can't land the frag, but Keeve will. Trying to show whatever 6er can do, he can do just as well. But does he have one more frag in his back pocket? That's what he needs if he wants to clutch this round. Gonna bait out Happy, but Happy's having none of it. The time was incredibly low as well.
Actually surprised to see Kiev going for that approach as well, because he doesn't actually give himself time to have his weapon up when he jumps on top of the box after trying to fake the plant. So he's basically shooting duck as he jumps up. So initial defense very, very strong from XMS and Happy, finding those 3 frags before BiG get anywhere near the bomb site. That puts the Germans back on an eco. So finally some stabilization for EnvyUs here, managing to string a couple of rounds in a row. Just one simple smoke out. They do have a couple of more nades here, so they might want to just attempt to get a bomb plant in, but surprisingly enough, bomb's stuck here over towards mid, getting boosted up, so we might see a bit of an A fake and a dive in towards the vent and hoping for a bit of an open B bomb site. I'm not really sure what the end game goal here is for BiG otherwise.
Too many targets for Sixer to zero in on. And as a result, he has been forced out of position. The HE landed right next to his legs. And our highway control is being taken. They're going to get the headshot onto Scream. This is putting a lot of pressure on RPK. But he has big, broad shoulders in which to burden the weight. And he's picked up 3, looking for more. There's a 4th. He's on for the ace. He's not going to get it, but his damage surely will get EnvyUs this round. God B. And a 1-on-3 now. They're going to be up close. And there's the second frag for him. Could all of RPK's brilliance be undone by the IGL of BiG? He's doing so much work already. He's taking players down, nearly lands another frag. Sixer, who is very low on HP, is just trying to hold off for the push. They know they have the bomb control, and there we go. Patience is a virtue. But RPK there needs to take a bow.
Yeah, RPK definitely showing why we've been talking so much about him and his recent form. More or less salvaging. First off, denying a bomb plant, which is massive, and around like that. Don't want to let BiG get any more money than they're necessarily sitting at already with the loss bonus, but I'm not a big fan of how Envy approached that retake because, well, it didn't have to be a retake. Bomb was down, Gob was trapped in a corner, and still you see them giving him multiple opportunities to actually take out all 3 players. Still different approach from EnvyUs here, aggressing into mid with 3 players. Would expect Happy to rotate off here at any given moment with the 2 forward players, and he's going to do that right now. Hold off door. It's a bit of a wonky setup though. 2 offs defending that A bomb site. It could get really hairy if BiG get close up.
I was about to say, if smokes start to land in standard positions, they could just choke out.
Well, not just smokes landing, shots as well. Taps and again finds Sixer. And Scream. Flank not going to work out, and well, Envy just getting picked apart here.
This time the Germans will pull the trigger and be successful. And Kiev just hops down to find Happy in the backside. 4 rounds now to BiG. Seems like it's been forever since their last round.
It has been a while. It's 4 rounds in a row for the Frenchmen. That's why we're seeing that stabilized economy to a bigger extent, but obviously losing as many players as they did in that previous eco round from BiG does put a dent into their economy. Still going to see them buy into this. Happy at least investing into a Colt. They're going to spend most of their money on, except for Sixer once more wants to get that out, off. Curious to see why we didn't see like a full committal from the Envy side if Happy is deciding to go for the M4 buy, but no, that is what the Frenchmen do. They do keep you guessing. As of right now, giving up pretty much both bomb sites, focusing heavily on mid control. And to be fair, BiG has shown a tendency to get mid control versus ecos like this.
Yeah, trying to be a step ahead of BiG, but this time BiG just going to go for the all-out A push, keeping Godby in mid. Now, if he dies, that's going to be an AK that trades hands. Now, it can come up highway in the next few moments. It's really about how long Sixer can delay, and Scream alongside Happy are just putting BiG down in their place. They came through in the round with 1 M4. They only lost 1 player. They only lost Scream. BiG, what the hell just happened?
Same mistake as it did last time, actually. Going up against an eco round, going blindly in towards the A bomb site. And they're not really doing it extremely efficient either. I mean, they're taking so much time that it allows for EnvyUs to have a rotation. They had 2 players committed to middle there on the side of EnvyUs. Obviously, Godby goes down, but at that point, that has to be, you know, the fire under your feet for BiG and actually commit onto that bomb site much, much quicker instead of allowing EnvyUs to actually rotate in. It's these kind of rounds that you can't afford to lose. Already, this is looking like a really promising CT side from EnvyUs. Bringing some aggressive shenanigans from the Envy side once more. RPK doesn't spot anything in.
They realize that A main is clear. What they don't realize is that Squeaky is being pushed by multiple players with the bomb.
Yeah, Leggy is setting up for a smoke as well. He's going to set up for a connector smoke, actually. So might want to draw some attention from EnvyUs over towards mid.
And here come those aforementioned nades. Going to try and draw out a couple of these players on A to just look down mid and hoping the timing is right. Now trying to bait off Sixter, who's going to land 2 frags, whips up the side on, picks up a 3rd and a 4th. Too easy for Sixer, who is finding some different level of form to what we've seen recently.
He's definitely feeling it right now. Had a couple of rough rounds in a row where Tabson got the better of him, but Eric Gabi with a bit of a failed shoulder peek there. And as they come out like lemmings from the door, Sixer handles it easily. 9th round on the board for EnvyUs. Pretty solid job so far. Doesn't seem to be stopping anytime soon as well. Limited utility on BiG side as well. And I've been surprised by how little pressure they've tried to put over towards that B bomb side. For the better part of the game, it's been focused heavily on mid control or straight 8 executes. It seems like EnvyUs is starting to come to grips with this.
Sixter has been flashed out. Is able to strike again. Scream going to prove to be the backup he so readily needs. Sixer's gone down to the hands of Next, but he is the last remaining terrorist. We saw Gob B try his best from this similar position. 2 players down, 3 more to go.
This time more conservative approach from me, not hunting after the kill immediately. RPK almost posted up by Truck there, so safely executed from EnvyUs, and once more this A take from BiG does not seem to work out. They don't seem to find the opening frags or the holes that they had in the first couple of rounds. So they have to dig deeper into their tactic book and see if they can come up with something new. And I think the key point would be putting more pressure towards XMS over on that B bomb site, because EnvyUs are able to overload A so often, or at least deny any sort of quick execute onto the A bomb site to the point where they have the rotations and the manpower in to deal with it.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here, Halvor, but I'm pretty sure we've only seen 1 round for BiG on the A site. Oh, sorry, on B site, pardon me. It's been once or twice at most.
I think we've, if you account for the pistol round, I think we've seen it twice.
Right.
And that's about it.
Rounds,
And honestly, I don't think you can account for that pistol round as necessarily a failed move from BiG, because obviously Happy picks up 2 frags through smoke, and that's something that happens. But you can't, sit back and think, oh, our B takes aren't working because of that. But maybe we saw them fluff a smoke on their one buy round where they went towards B, and maybe they're not feeling too confident about all of their nades sitting the way they're supposed to. And again, we're seeing pressure put on by Legia towards A here. Aggressive stance once more from the enemy side. They do spot out Legia as well. But not a whole lot happening on the side of the Germans. And they don't really have too much to work with either. I would be really surprised to see if they actually want to go for mid here. It seems like they're setting up for the crisscross smokes.
Yeah, but actually RPK is going to push it. I don't think they're going to expect this. You could see that Next had his knife or a nade out or something like that, and now RPK is going to strike for seconds. Seems to think someone was getting boosted on red container. It's going to cost him his life, but again, it's a 3-on-3. You expect EnvyUs to come out ahead, especially as Scream's just gone on and picked off Legia. That means it's one-dimensional. It's going to be through A main. They have an open and an M4 to play with, and which Keith has just put to good use. And there's the flick from Tabson. This is now doable. XMS, who's seen such little action because if they've constantly gone to A, it's going to get smashed through the wall of Tabson. So BiG have brought it back. One of the most unlikely of rounds they actually end up winning.
Yeah, and again, initially that's EnvyUs playing a bit too overconfident there. There's no real reason for. First off, the flash from Scream isn't necessarily that great. He hasn't had any massive sound cues to know that anyone's near enough to actually be affected by that flash. So going for the aggressive peek in that kind of a situation is a bit unnecessary when there's such a big rotation time in place for EnvyUs to actually trade that frag if he goes down. It's a bit of a misplay on their end. Still, though, they're going to end up with double figures on the CT side, and that's not something you see very often on a map like Cash. Yeah, Gob in deep thought right now, and he has to come up with something special going into the CT side if they want to make a comeback out of this.
Oh yeah, second pistol is definitely the first hurdle which they need to navigate over. I do wonder as well, though, a lot of Sixers frags have came off the back, and unless you count the round where he pushed through Squeaky and got the couple of kills, but a lot of them have been fairly static frags where he's just been landing every shot he's gone for. When the roles are reversed and he has to play aggressive with the AWP, he may drop off a little bit. That could be one salvaging grace that BiG have up their sleeve.
Yeah, and I mean, a fair few of them were or versus pistols as well, which you can take into account as well. But it's definitely harder to play the T side because you have to be so much more active in how you play, and that's not for everyone. Let's see, smoke's coming out. So the A approach coming in from EnvyUs, going to trade immediately. RPK just keeps running people down on the A bomb side. Keeps still alive over by truck here. Might be able to find a frag or two.
Who else would it be, though, Vend and RPK? He's one of the last 3 players now that EnvyUs have. It's a 3-on-3. No kits in the hands of BiG, but I'm pretty sure one was dropped somewhere near the site. RPK goes in for another one. He's looking for a 4th. He's not going to get it. Legia comes out ahead. And now Happy. What can he get done from this position? Nothing is the answer. BiG have done it. We said how important this pistol would be. They've been successful.
They have. Legia stepping up big with a 3K there in the pistol, equaling RPK's effort. Weirdly enough, probably the easiest frag that RPK had there. As Legia swings around the quad box corner, not able to land the shots. Solidly done by Legia there. And Happy was so far away, actually. Initially, he didn't commit with the full flank. Actually decided to rotate back over towards A main. But doesn't really have any impact, and it doesn't seem like it was well thought through. Maybe some miscommunication as to where the bomb was planted at that point, because obviously Happy with his current position, not able to actually do anything with a big player trying to defuse that bomb. And well, a lot of utility actually on the side of EnvyUs. They've forced up in true fashion. Let's see if they're going to be able to actually rush the side. Next is a kind of isolated actually here. With the smokes down, it's going to be hard for him to get any sort of help.
Especially as Towson got flashed out and then picked off by Sixer. Legia and Nex have both chimed in for kills, but they're going to need a lot more where that came from. Bomb would get planted 2nd consecutive time on the A site by EnvyUs. But the tank is dead, and Sixers, they're 2 top fraggers, they're 2 players in form on this map, are gone by the wayside. Another flashbang is going to try and fend off a couple more of these plays, but now Scream is opening up from the forklift truck. He's running out of bullets. He's only got 1 more left, and it's not going to be good enough. And it's Happy now on 37 health at the back of quad. Has so much work ahead of him, and his spray is going to whiff. And the round is going to be going the way of BiG. It's actually going to be very close on this defuse, but I think they've got it.
Yeah, they've got it. But still, economic damage is being done in a big way. So EnvyUs have to be okay with how that panned out. They got the bomb plant as well, which kind of negates the fact that they force spot into this. And in a similar fashion to what we saw in the previous round, probably going to see an investment from them in this one with how much damage they did to BiG. I'd be very surprised actually if we didn't see it, but well, RPK just opting for a deagle. So actually, yeah, no gills or anything like that bought up from EnvyUs, so we're seeing a bit more restraint from them than we're used to. Does show promise in my eyes at least. And Happy's gonna tank an 8.
Enjoy.
Early Christmas bonus right there.
88 damage in the blink of an eye.
Let's see if they're going to be able to find any sort of 1Ds here. Legia not actually indulging Scream with a peek there from Vents. Pretty static setup from the side of BiG. But again, they're leaving their defender towards A, which in this scenario is Nex. Quite alone.
Pretty smooth sailing so far on the side of BiG.
Legia's going to find XMS as he gets boosted up. So, next man in line. Doesn't really seem like EnvyUs had a plan for this round at all. It's more like a throwaway. Find the Eagles, see if you can find a 1D somewhere. Get lucky. Instead, they're just going to pick apart and key with the aggressive move here into Garage. Just going to find a lot of EnvyUs players potentially here in A main if he moves forward. Or actually, they move into him.
He's all right with that. Call will come through. Just going to try and hold off for as long as possible. That flashbang destroying the eyeballs of EnvyUs. And he will finish off the rest, tapping his way to victory alongside Nex. BiG retain all 5 players. Be curious to see if either of those MP9s get traded out, and the answer is yes. Kyiv wants the AWP.
Not surprising. Legia is going to hold on to that MP9. See if he plays the same position around Vents or close up mid. at least trying to make the most benefit out of his weapon. And as you can see, pretty top-heavy, honestly, on both sides. Next, not having the kind of game you would expect out of one of the heavy hitters on big side. Luckily, though, Kyiv, who the desk, you know, rightfully so mentioned, hasn't really had the same kind of impact or haven't shown the firepower to be that second, third star really on a consistent basis yet. Is really delivering so far. Early trades, Scream and Ligia trade places. Say that's a bigger loss, obviously, for EnvyUs in terms of firepower. Ligia only having that MP9, but going down a man is never easy on the CT side.
And I would say in terms of skill level as well, most people consider Scream to be a better tier player than Ligia is.
Yep, that's fair.
Next is going to be trying to hold off on Forklift for as long as possible. Our PK lands the headshot onto God B, and Sixers came in with a kill of his own. EnvyUs trying to break the drought on this half. It's been 3 unanswered rounds, and now they're on the brink of taking their first on the terrorist side. Tabson has a couple of things to say about that alongside Kyiv, and now it's all on our PK. If there's one player who in this position right now, it's him. Can the tank prove impervious to these bullets? There's going to be some Molotovs thrown in as well for good measure. And it's not going to happen for our PK. BiG, 4 rounds in a row.
There we go. Just to start, they needed off to the second half, but it seems like EnvyUs have a pretty good idea as to how big are planning out these CT sides and how their setups are dealt with. A lot of the times we see Next being more or less isolated on that A bomb site, and that's definitely something the Frenchies can abuse to no end. Well, if it doesn't work out, obviously we can see a similar error from their T side as we saw with BiG, where they pretty much forget about the entire B bomb site as a whole. That would allow BiG to kind of preemptively set up for defenses towards A, even though Next is playing quite, you know, the lone islander really on the site so far. 7CZ heavy, utility heavy investment on the side of EnvyUs.
Yeah, full round loss coming up here, then they can afford a half buy and then get a really good buy in the next round.
Can.
2-0.
A lot of people in towards A main for the time being, since they're rotating off. Bomb was primarily posted up towards mid, so no real commitment coming up from the EnvyUs side. And we might actually see this B pressure that we talked about coming out here. Ooh, are they going to go Kyiv?
Just twitching at the end, I think.
Yeah.
Twitched away from the frag. May assume that the big players moving more across towards Sunroom, but that was a gimme kill for sure. Now he's going to get mollied out. He knows the push is on. An XMS will shoot him in the side of the head. That's an AWP that's trained in hands, but more importantly for EnvyUs, it's the site that's ripe for the taking. And Happy's gone onto Ligia as well with the CZ. It's gone from bad to worse.
Just immediately sent BiG into saving mode at flank, working out nicely for the French in-game leader. And oh, there we see isolated takes, or isolated bomb defenders really on the side of BiG. Being tough to deal with, especially with an AWP in that kind of a situation. Kyiv has the right idea, obviously. He knows the Molotov, the standard Molotovs for default just coming in, puts down a smoke, but solid flashes from EnvyUs to allow them to push forward and overman him. That's something EnvyUs, like, for all their faults, EnvyUs are really, really good at setting each other up for flashes. Probably one of the teams where you can notice it more easily than anyone else. So yeah, the investment that was, again, as you said, a bit of a throwaway because they would have been able to invest into the next round regardless. Works out perfectly for the Frenchmen. Now they get a bit of a freebie here, holding on to a couple of weapons as well. XMS with that off, it's enough to invest, can drop it off to Sixer or Happy. Gonna be Sixer in this case. Oh, actually, no, Happy snags that up after buying up an AK. So, okay, there we go. And then, but you mentioned it as well. Sixer isn't necessarily the most mobile offer. Happy also with the aggressive spawn, too. Might be more of his comfort zone than it is Sixer's. So, look, gonna get taken out, actually. Sixer does get the trade, but not before Ligia's found 2 frags early on.
He's going to get a second as well. He loses 70 of his health, but 2 kills will be worthwhile. Next, now going to play aggressively round the side. He decides the best defense is the strong offense in this occasion.
Got spotted out, though, before he actually gets to jump on anyone, and that's going to be his life to pay for. Now, man advantage for EnvyUs. The problem is they've lost any sort of semblance of map control. Kyiv, again, with the aggressive move. So much action from the big side here. It's going to equalize the main numbers. But still, EnvyUs have no idea where the other big player can be at this point. And with how much aggression there's been out, they can probably expect him to be, in any sort of awkward position at this point. But Gob, not aware of the fact that Sixer are snuck by here. It's going to be a free A bomb site, actually, and a plant's going to go down. So Sixer's going to be able to get into a forward position here as well. This could spell trouble for the German side.
Sixer's peering down, gets the frag onto Kyiv. That could be all she wrote. B's been mollied out as well. Does have a HE, but if he catches Sixer correctly, will wipe him out of this predicament that B's currently in.
I do like the choice from Sixer to fall back, though. Oh, RPQ goes down.
Uh-oh. This is actually doable now. Sixer's going to lay and wait. Pulls out the C's head, knows where the bomb's planted. And there'll be no smoke diffuse shenanigans for B today. Nice try, though.
Sixer with yet another 4K in this round. That's his third of the game. Just really showing up here. And this, this time doing it not primarily with his op, finding those true frags after Happy doesn't quite find what he wants with the aggressive peak. And as you saw, picking off the rotation. Really like the decision to fall back after picking up Kyiv as well. Playing again as a duo more than just having two sole defenders at that retake. So EnvyUs with the 12th round on the board, and this is starting to wear down on the economy of BiG as well. You can see a bit of a funky tower behind quad boxes here. Molotov could be a severe issue if tabseN doesn't land his initial frag.
There it is. You called them Molly, there's two of them. They're going to just go and make a leaning tower of BiG elsewhere on the red container now. tabseN's missed his chance. And B loses his head. Next, the only line of defense that really fired back, but Kyiv now has managed to snake his way through the smoke, but just delaying the inevitable. EnvyUs now just 3 rounds shy of winning this best of 1.
EnvyUs going with the same approach as we saw BiG do on their T side, blindly going into that A bomb side, and they do run into a bit of a stack as well. I think they're fortunate by the timing, really, of tabseN's nade throwing out there. If he has the opportunity to get, a shot off and actually kill Scream as he throws that Molotov into quad, that could very easily go awry for EnvyUs, just like we saw how it did with BiG multiple times. You just need that one little bit of a pushback, really, from the CTs to stagger your pushes into that A bomb side that just changes the entire course of the game.
Aggressive play from BiG. Kyiv is just waiting outside. Here on the side of the wall, wouldn't be expected. Gets flash from his teammate, but that's more to escape than play aggressively. So he's able to dart back onto the site now. XMS has taken damage. Now it's up to tabseN to have a quick peek. He's got a player on lockers as well. Decent crossfire is being established, and Sixer, to his credit, hasn't completely committed to pushing in A main. Had he have done that, he would have been caught from the side of lockers. So incredibly close on both sides for picking up the opening frag. Somehow, though, all 10 players remain alive.
Yeah, only really XMS taking any significant damage. RPK going to be in a bit of exploratory mission towards the B bomb site. He's actually got some teammates to join him as well. So this is going to be the sudden push in towards B, and I don't think they've been spotted at all.
It's more the footsteps that gave our PK away in that case. And now the smoke that B tossed out is going to be used to hide behind. Does yield him a frag, but he's about to get sprayed from Scream. But there's tabseN bodyguarding the rest of his teammates with a huge 2 kills from Heaven. 13-10. EnvyUs going to have to fight a little bit harder if they want this.
Yeah, solid idea from EnvyUs, though. But a good crossfire setup on the side of BiG, actually able to save each other's lives there. Gob coming in big to take out the initial aggression coming out from EnvyUs, and as you said, tabseN swinging in on towards higher, finding 2 frags, just kills the entire round for Envy. Still like the approach, though. Able to, again, keep BiG honest, and this is not something we saw BiG do enough on their T side, really. Boost coming up on the A side for next. Very passive positions actually being held so far on EnvyUs side. Actually see Sixer all the way in T-spawn, holding over towards B, expecting Kyiv maybe to go aggressive, but instead it's going to be tabseN once again to open things up. XMS on a bit of a strange mission, trying to sneak out the smoke. Did make it past Next, but obviously tabseN was there to hold off, and I think that's more a play of them knowing that Next has been fairly isolated on that A bomb site multiple times. If XMS is able to actually get onto the bomb site, that's pretty much round over.
It's an interesting play, almost going like full Rambo, but without any survival skills. Just instantly massacred.
And Scream again.
Oh, he's in a good position here. Once that smoke clears, he could be a dead man. There's the first one. He has no idea that there's a player up on the boost. Because I believe XMS died to the player behind the red container, not from the boost itself. So that's kind of wrecked EnvyUs. They did not expect that.
Yeah, they should know that there are 2 players around this, though, because Tabson picked up the first frag from the A side as well. Seems like RPK has an idea as well. Ooh, and the bomb here. Sixer moving out A main. Ooh, doesn't spot Ford's truck. And ooh, actually going to find the frag on 10 next as well. Can hold off any sort of rotations, not allow the Germans to get close to the bomb site, as Happy, in his usual fashion, makes his way in the back.
12 health for God B, with no nades to play with. Up against Sixer with the AWP, and he's going to go out peeking. Sixer's missed his shot, but God B is not able to capitalize. He's going to use his sidearm. He knows that Sixer's low. He can sense that weakness, but Sixer's just chilling in the smoke for the time being, playing this one as passively as possible. God B also, because he's so low, he doesn't want to give his position away, otherwise he probably tries spraying through the smoke, but he's just out-time Sixer and gets the clutch. Gonna have the AWP as well, and the IGL pulls off the 2v1.
He does. Like, Sixer's been doing such a good job of playing smart up to this one. Not really sure why he would commit to such a wide peak. It seems like he's thinking it over as well in the booth there. That was, yeah, not something I would have expected given the way he's been playing so far up to this point. Obviously, when it comes down to 1v1 here with the smoke, it's a bit of a chance game, but definitely felt like Sixer had the upper hand going into that. That does mean 13-11 is the score. So BiG mounting a bit of a comeback here. Starting to get things going their way, and EnvyUs' economy is not in the greatest of places. They're going to have to go on a bit of an eco as BiG decide to talk things over.
Oh yeah, and you better believe at the same time as rummaging together some strats, it's also allowing EnvyUs to just stew in what happened.
Oh yeah.
You will think about that very close 1v1 that could have had you on the brink of winning.
Definitely.
Trying to get in the heads of the likes of Sixer.
Yeah. Again, it's a different approach from EnvyUs in terms of how they want to attack the bomb site. I think it's okay when you have a bit of a lead as well to see if you can get away with kind of fluke rounds in that sense. Sending XMS out solo towards the A bomb site, then sending Scream as the secondary guy, 20 seconds later, just to see if you can throw a bit of a wrench into the defenses of BiG. And now they're probably going to go back to something more tried and true once they get weapons in their hands. For now, though, no utility on the side of EnvyUs, just CZs and Deagles and P250s. They're going to go for a classic French strat, the contact play into A.
Well, next would have been feeling the pace a little bit for a second as he threw out his flash just as they decided to rush. But fortunately for him, it was just pistols, as you say, and he's still in good position. No one actually looked at him. They're all focused towards the likes of MBK, back of quad. So they get away with it, but I bet for a split second he was like, oh god, what have I done?
It's happening again.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've seen a couple of those scenarios here for BiG in this game. So Tabson, when they were setting up for that boost back at quad as well. Timing hasn't really necessarily been their friend up to this point. Well, off we go again. Another buy round for EnvyUs. No AWP on this side, though, for the T's this time around. Scream gonna immediately find Tabson trying to go aggressive. Seems like BiG wanted to set up for that boost. And like, yeah, ooh. Showing us some cojones here. Gonna push aggressively into garage, but it seems like RPK's sixth sense is just working excellently as he finds that frag as well. So within the span of 20 seconds, two-man advantage. Now, all they have to do is really sit around. I mean, if you're RPK, you can also do that.
Horrendous start for BiG. Losing Tabson that early in such a free fashion and Legia pushing into his death. I mean, that's pretty much the death warrant being signed. Maybe God B can resurrect this weakened, lumbering BiG. No, he can't. RPK once again. And now Keeve with his AWP. He's about to pull it a rabbit out the hat. I don't think he's even interested in any magic tricks for the time being.
The money situation for BiG is not quite there. And that's because of the 1v1 situation we saw earlier. EnvyUs being able to drag BiG down into, or basically lose 4 members, kind of negates the fact that they survived the last round with 4. Because the reinvestment on the CT side is so expensive. Oh, massive opportunity for Envy here to actually get to map point, because this is going to put them on 14. Keeve does find one frag onto RPK, but is going to get immediately traded by Happy. That's a trade you'll take any day if you're EnvyUs.
Oh yeah, a 1-for-1. taking the AWP off the table, putting the CTs into a really nasty position. And these are just the kills that were given across to the terrorists, really. They just had to sit in position.
Yeah.
Just in garage, they got 3 or 4 kills from that same spot.
That's the best feeling ever, actually, as a team, when you don't actually do anything at all. You're still getting away with it. Still grabbing advantages. And well, last time we saw EnvyUs versus Nico around, just kind of bomb rush the B bomb site blindly. This time around, a bit more of a thought-through approach to it. Mid-control seems to be the name of the game. Scream spotting out Gabi by the big box here. Just gonna take a bit of negative damage. Oh, spots out the boost as well.
Decent damage that BiG have inflicted thus far, and not really anything in return from EnvyUs. I thought Scream would have been totally happy shrugging off that nade had it have been at the cost of one of BiG's life after they got the boost, but he wasn't able to capitalize on it. So the CZs really do get in range alongside the weakened Scream and XMS.
Definitely do a lot of damage. So like XMS, again, on a bit of a sole mission onto the B bomb site. It's gonna get taken out. Not really sure what the game plan here is from EnvyUs. Happy he's there to return the frag, though. Meanwhile, RPK setting his moves onto the B bomb site where the rest of his teammates follow as well, but BiG have rotated players in here. Although, to no avail. Next, Norlegia find 1 frag, and that's going to be an open B bomb site. Gabi does have Kevlar and an AK, but what can he really do? Has to find 3 players. Doesn't have a defuse kit either. It has to be rapid. Oh, that perfect flash.
Yeah, double flash as well. Almost baiting him out with that first flash. As soon as he hears it detonate, he turns back round into another one. Unfortunate, but that's now 3 match points for EnvyUs, and it will be BiG into a pretty decent buy, all things considered. I mean, they've got an AWP coming up. They've got some M4s as well joining alongside it.
Yeah, a little bit of a problem that...
No nades, really.
Yeah, exactly. So EnvyUs should be aware of the money situations for BiG right now, and again, just set up in a default. Basically, just drag out as much time as possible and see if they can bait out nades. But that does not seem to be the approach for them as this time around. Full-on commitment in towards A-Hall. The pop flash from hell. Next and taps and find 3 immediately. And well, talk about being put on the back foot here. Still have Legia in MBK corner. It's gonna get forced out though with the molly. RPK surely would have heard that. Not happy, I mean.
Well, Legia is about to get sideswiped, but there's the headshot, and Gobi finishes off what he started with Scream. Happy now, 1 and 2 bombs dropped out in a horrible spot. Gonna have to thread a couple of headshots here. Not far off on that occasion. Gobi's having a duel to the death and actually gets the upper hand. So BiG live to fight another day. 2 more rounds required to take us to overtime.
Yeah, and I'm still questioning EnvyUs' decision-making right there. Again, go blindly. You should be aware of the situation that BiG find themselves in money-wise. So that heavy of a committal into the A bomb site, especially with having no set, solution for these kind of a plays. We haven't, like, to be fair to them, I guess we haven't seen a lot of aggression from BiG coming into A main, but it does feel like it's one of the default things you do. You always have one guy going in towards A main with his back turned to everything in case of that pop flash. That was not the case from EnvyUs. Then they get punished extremely hard for it. Once again, we're seeing the boost from BiG.
MP9 tailor-made in these kind of positions against no armor.
Oh.
Actually, Happy was one of the players with armor and still got wrecked.
I saw the head. Saw the head of Legia and got a bit eager.
Still should be going the way of BiG now. Scream with the lone AK-47 has been dispersed from this round into the next. XMS and 6-star, 2 CZs. Do have the bomb under their control, but now it's all in the hands of XMS. He's going to get spotted, his position now compromised. And expect to see the CTs move into position. And now it is going to go the full distance. I thought this would be a close game, and so far it's delivered.
It definitely has. Again, Tapson working his way up the scoreboard here in the second half after a bit of a slow start to the T side. Equaling Kiev now and frags, sitting at 23, both of them. For EnvyUs, 6er and RPK just maintaining that good form, both sitting on 28 frags here. It's definitely a top-heavy duel going on from both sides, and this tactical pause comes in from EnvyUs. Want to talk things through. before what potentially could send them in to that winner's bracket match.
That would be against Mouse Sports, of course.
Yeah, not an easy matchup whatsoever.
Yeah, it's a solid performance earlier. I believe they won that first game 16-6, if memory serves me correctly. So they did breeze past, and that was North Academy.
Correct, you are. I would actually regard Mouse Sports as a bit of a tournament favorite.
Like a dark horse, maybe?
No, actually,
Well, it's actually
straight up tournament favorite.
Okay.
Come into this. They've been playing really, really well as of late. So excited to see what they can offer. Again, Legia playing forward here in mid. Nearly catches out one of the EnvyUs players.
Wasn't far off at all, was he? Just a millimeter or two. But sometimes that is the finest of margins that will win or lose you the game.
It really is. Some CZ on XMS, AK equipped on the rest of the teammates of EnvyUs. A lot of utility as well. We're seeing RPK slowly making his way towards that B bomb site. So even though we haven't seen more B executions necessarily from EnvyUs, they have put more pressure on towards this bomb site than what we saw from BiG. BiG, though, just kind of staying true to what they've been doing the entire game. Heavy mid focus a lot of the time.
RPK's making inroads, though, already in checkers. Now, the issue could be that if Legia decides to go back into the vents and just turns around, RPK is going to be a free frag, and that's exactly what happens. He's able to dart back out again as the smoke is still in position. A huge pick for BiG. And EnvyUs decide to try and bounce back in with a boost. I think Eve looked away at the worst possible moment as the boost was coming up, but then switches back again just in time to see a flashbang detonate in his eyes. XMS going to be looking to pick up the AK from his fallen comrade of RPK and start back up on this mission towards the B side of the map. XMS is going to pick up a frag. Got B, just hiding, hoping for the best in the corner, is able to spray down a player, but he's gone down. It's all up to XMS in a 1-on-2. He only has 9 health.
5 seconds as well.
Pulls it off. It's going to be the map win. It's so close. XMS just misses out. We're going to overtime. 19 health left. It's all BiG needed in the end. Whew. That was so incredibly close, though.
It was, and again, heat of the moment decision-making from BiG. You don't necessarily need to commit both players out there. 6 seconds left. If XMS goes off that bomb, there's no way he's winning the round. Easy as that. Like, my God, talk about making it interesting to end out the game, close out or send it into overtime. That would have been absolutely massive. XMS. We've had a pretty quiet game so far. We're able to send them into victory in that kind of fashion.
I mean, I guess in defense of XMS, because the first half, he literally saw 2 rounds where they pushed him on B.
Yeah, no, he had nothing to do.
There's not much he could really do, you know?
Pretty much like his game started in the second half, and that's when you have to get like warm up pretty much.
Like
you haven't done anything.
The nightmare of Mirage when you're a B player and all they keep hitting is A, and you have to retake every single round.
Well, they will go there and pistol around with 5 players, so you have no chance of actually doing anything. That's the one present you get for the entire game. Have fun.
But here we go, and it's all down to this. You can scratch off the regulation. Down to overtime. First team to 19 will take it.
Trading frags on opposite sides of the map so far. Tapson does, though, put BiG ahead by 1 man as he finds Happy. Why not? Legia finding a screen through the smoke as well. 2v4 situation. We've seen Sixer do some crazy plays so far in this matchup. He's going to have to find another one up his sleeve if they're going to come away with a round victory here to start off the OT. And this is much bigger for BiG, obviously, considering the economic situation. Well, I guess no, actually, my mistake, because it is 16K, so it doesn't actually matter at all.
Yeah, 16K, you don't get punished anywhere near as much.
You can actually do, you get your op buys in. Obviously, it's worse for a team that goes double op a lot of the time, like EnvyUs do, and instead of like BiG, who prefer to keep it on Kyiv alone. They have given up the B bomb site, though. Again, this is just more of like a safe approach to it from BiG's side. They do have the utility. You can see 3 Molotovs here to actually set up for a retake.
And again, in overtime, you don't really care if they get the bomb plant.
Yeah, no,
overall,
it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
So Molotovs come flying in.
Oh, head was spotted by Sixer. Of course, he's going to know it's very likely someone's going to be pushing through there. He's missed that shot, though. It's not a time to go off the boil for Sixer. XMS was so close to outright winning, but no 1v4 clutch is in his back pocket right now, and BiG will take the first blood in overtime.
They do. And again, with the economic situation not really mattering all that much whether or not they get a bomb plant, it just kind of gives them extended time to see if they can turn the round back in their favor. I think XMS should have been in a position, because they're down 2 men, they have to be somewhat aggressive to the extent that they're allowed to be, you know, planning on the B bomb site. But I think there should be more of an opportunity for XMS to actually trade on this or actually help out Sixer in the situation on the site, because he can't fight off 2 to 3 people rushing him when he has an AWP in his hands. Again, like, yeah, very aggressive. This time with an AWP, though. Not necessarily what you'd expect to see in that kind of a position. Double offing up in mid.
Definitely a curious decision there, but of course, from mid, can easily wrap yourself around highway. Got to be aggressive, just waiting outside of garage on the left side. Decent crossfire has been established. They have both angles covered to BiG for the time being, but it's when the nades start to fly in that things could get a bit sketchy, a bit hairy for BiG. Nate is free. Gets finished off by Legia. It's a big moment for the Germans here in this round.
And again, EnvyUs get absolutely nothing from this, and they're going to convene towards the B bomb site instead. RPK once again moving forward. Taking a little bit of damage from his own molly. They have gained checkers control for the time being. Have to be wary about the potential vent flank here. Gabi posted up on top of higher. And you can tell BiG have, you know, they have the clear idea of what's going on here. 3 players over towards this B bomb site already.
Oh yeah, here come the nades. Got B, lands a headshot into XMS while Flashbang looking for seconds. Does so much damage. It may be good enough. Time is dwindling. Kiev in prime position to strike. He's not going to get smoked out, and the Flash going to do nothing either. And Kiev will clean up with a 3K, and BiG continue in winning ways.
And all that chaos, not putting down the smokes to block off Kiev. No smokes either to actually deal with the second player rotating in from BiG towards higher as well. There's definitely room for improvement in the sense for EnvyUs there, and then you see the missed smoke as well that allows him to get the first frag. Oh, well done by BiG. Now two-round lead here. Could close out with a perfect CT half at the start of OT. And EnvyUs not really finding a whole lot of luck really with their mid control. Again, it's all about diving deep into that book of plays and see if we can find something might be able to work. And it seems like they want to focus on this A bomb site initially. Scream has made his way out to mid this time, though. One of the first times we've seen the German side not play too aggressively towards mid. Scream's going to find tabs on the A bomb site as well. Gabi returns immediately, though. 2v3 situation, and
Kiev needs to land that. That could be such an important moment. It would have been a 3-on-1. Instead, 2-on-2 with the bomb getting planted. That nade's just chunked RPK, though. Got B round the side. His crosshair looked like it was on point, but wasn't able to clean up the kill. And now Legia's getting tagged and will get fragged by RPK. And again, you go back to that missed shot from Kiev.
Yeah, that should be a sitter in so many ways. Probably doesn't expect RPK to just run in by his lonesome on that B bomb, so it's more being taken by surprise, honestly. But yeah, works out for EnvyUs. Not the most impressive sighting, really, in terms of how they approached it in their OT. Maybe they're running out of ideas. Seem like BiG are getting more and more grasp of what's going on a lot of the time. But they still managed to get that one round at least, a bit of a buffer going into the CT side, which is so important.
Again, though, the CT side was where we really saw Sixer shine and where we saw RPK do so much of his damage. So yeah, I do wonder if that form is going to be recaptured now in overtime or not. Sixer, of course, has gone for an AWP alongside Happy. So this is where Sixer was an animal. I think he was 17-5 near the end of the first half. That's how good he was, with RPK and about 15 frags. So if he can show up again, EnvyUs could just outright win from this point.
Yeah, and a completely new approach from BiG here. They're actually going to move towards the B bomb site. Bit of a run boost to get Happy into a new angle. Happy, though, with that forward positioning. This is something they haven't encountered earlier.
That flash, though.
Not optimal.
Bruh. He's still alive, though, somehow. He can use a smoke to escape.
Gets out of dodge as well.
I guess it doesn't matter if it's clean or not. Just as long as you get the hell out of there.
Just get the job done. And again, still posted up in a position where he can do some damage. Does have opportunities to get cover as well. Ooh, a little bit late on the trigger. Keeve's going to punish that. Meanwhile, Tabson finds RPK as on a bit of a mini flank. This might actually send the wrong idea into EnvyUs' head. It seems like Scream's caught in track of this, that there's not going to be any B commitment. And slow-paced rotation from BiG, moving away from this B bomb site. Maybe they're going to use Snacks here to try to sell a bit of a B attack here, delayed. Problem is, it doesn't have any flashes. He does have a smoke, so he can smoke off B entrance. He can Molotov off checkers or headshot. We'll see if he's actually able to create enough of a diversion.
Oh, he's drawn Scream right out of position. This puts 6 up against it.
Doesn't commit in though, so soon enough, Scream should realize that nothing's gonna happen here.
Time as well, Ven. It's starting to get down in towards 10 seconds. They've got to move. All Sixer really needs to do is maybe land 1 kill. That could be good enough. Going to switch to his P250. He's playing this smoke perfectly. Even though Keeve's got the frag, it's just down now to the P250. And it's going to run out of time anyway. EnvyUs have picked the round up and draw us to 17 apiece.
I mean, obviously they benefit from time running out, but Sixer's playing that so well. You can see like the decision he makes here to swap over to the pistol because he realizes, the same as you mentioned, he just needs to find the bomb planter in this kind of situation to win the round for them. And why not pick up both frags if you have the opportunity? Sixer continuing his good CT side form here. It's a big round for EnvyUs to get.
Scream's going to go in the same position he was in last time, so I'm not sure. I was going to say it might be a little bit
optimistic.
Yeah, telegraphed as well.
Yeah.
A bit obvious, but I guess the thing is they can play around that as well if they double stack it, but it's going to be an all-out rush through Squeaky. Six has missed a shot alongside Happy. That's not good enough from EnvyUs. Scream on the fast lurk though is going to pick up 1. Or the fast flank, I should say now. It's gone from lurk to flank. It has evolved. Looking for a second frag. Surprises me that that would even be possible considering they knew where he was. And now Legia and Tapson are all that remain. It started so well for BiG, but it's ended horribly. Only Sixer goes down. EnvyUs now have a chance to outright win this map.
They do, in a very surprising fashion as well. Again, you see the downsides of having double ops in the positions that EnvyUs posted up in, and all it takes is 1 missed shot before you lose complete control over the bomb site. Luckily, though, Scream somehow finding 2 frags. The first one is perfectly reasonable, but as you said, once this position is known, there's no way you should be able to get that second frag so easily. Obviously, there's some flashes in play and whatnot, but kind of sloppy from BiG side, and XMS finding 3 frags through a smoke.
Yeah, I mean, when you saw both Orpas miss on A, I thought, okay, that's it. That's the round done. It's going to
Normally
crumble.
how it should pan out.
Yep, but only 1 player died in that whole process. That is going to be BiG, really ruining out on that potential match-losing moment. But you know, I've already seen them claw back these before. That nade lands in the face of Tabson's going to chunk him a little bit.
That's very now. Slow approach, obviously. A lot at stake for BiG. Scream not in an aggressive position this time around. RPK playing those sandbags. Has been there quite a few times so far this round. Does spot out 1 player from... Oh, actually going to get caught out. Does find next, though, before Tabson is able to take him out. So that's a big get. He was in no man's land. Yeah.
That's really the best thing he could have done, is go 1 for 1 in that position. It was looking like he'd just get picked off for free. So it's actually pretty crucial.
We're seeing the rest of the BiG team now move towards this B bomb site. Well, initially, now they're rotating off with the bomb after throwing out a couple of Molotovs, trying to sell this. But again, not creating a whole lot of rotations, honestly.
Yeah. I feel like if you're going to cause that rotation, you have to push somebody out proactively as the fake goes in.
Yeah, you really have to commit to selling the fake, really, in many ways. Otherwise, it's not going to be anything that EnvyUs bite on.
But to be fair, EnvyUs have now over-rotated pretty hard.
But then you see immediately, like, as soon as there's no follow-up on this, the 1 shot, the immediate rotation comes in. Sixer only needs to find 1 frag, and he does.
Could be finding more. There's a second. EnvyUs on the brink of winning the map. Scream from the side will sideswipe Legia and God B 1 on 4. Bomb is down. Time is ticking away. This would be 1 hell of a clutch if he could pull this off. He's being shot from the backside, and EnvyUs have done it in overtime. It was labored, it was difficult, but they got there in the end. 19-17.
Got there in the end, and off of a massive performance from Sixer. 33 frags, ending up topping everyone on the scoreboard, really, to close that out, having massive impact here with a lot of his frags, put that off on that A-bomb site. just very, very refreshing to see, because normally he's one of the guys who's really in the line of fire when you talk about EnvyUs. So even though it wasn't the easiest victory, it wasn't as convincing as I initially expected it to be, they do scrape away with a victory. So, and all things ends well.
Yeah, I think there were a lot of positives really for EnvyUs there, and Sixer in particular was outstanding, I feel. Did go a little bit off on T-side, but his CT performance was phenomenal. RPK was still really good. I think BiG will be very disappointed, though. There were 2 or 3 rounds in particular that I can think of, especially towards the end, where small mistakes cost them dearly, and I think that really was the ultimate determining factor. So another day, I mean, BiG would be saying 119-17 themselves, right? So
yeah, I mean, if you go back to the regulation, the fact that they had two anti-ecos where they go blindly in towards the A-bomb side, get absolutely stomped by the pistols of EnvyUs.
Yep.
Obviously that's going to sit in your mind when you rethink what happened in this match.
All right, guys, well, we do have an interview lined up with Pala on this stage. Take it away.
Thank you, Halvor and Vince. I'm stood here with Adil, Scream. That match was very close fought. Do you feel you guys made mistakes that led to that, or was it just stacking up against BiG evenly?
Yeah, obviously we did a lot of mistakes, but they played good, and it was a good game to play. We found out the solution at the end, so it was good.
At this point in your team's kind of formation, are you happy with the levels that you're reaching, or do you guys still have more to give?
I never know with this team. I think potentially we can give a lot, but we never really do when it comes offline and stuff like that. So I'm just gonna see and wait what we can do here. So yeah.
And what about with regards to yourself, Adil? Do you still feel like you've not hit a peak in a while? Do you feel that your skill level could be more optimal right now?
Yeah, I think it's not optimal at all right now. I can obviously play better. I've been playing better recently. Maybe not in this game, but yeah, I don't know what's gonna take to make me better, but I hope I can get better. I don't know.
Yeah, well, as a team, it seems like you guys still come together and, all the parts make the whole. And so what is it about your team that's still able to produce results like beating BiG, for instance, now?
We analyzed the game a lot. Our coach did really good work, and it helped us a lot, I guess. And yeah, I don't know, we were really calm in the game, trying to find the good solutions and stuff like that. Because Cash is not like our best map, I'm gonna say, but I'm happy we won against BiG, because they're like the team that always beat us, so it feels good.
Yeah, and talking about BiG and their play style, what's the approach to playing someone like God B?
Well, they have a really prepared game style. Like everything is straight. Like they do all the time the same thing, so it's pretty easy to analyze them, I think. So yeah, I don't know. That's the biggest thing.
Cool. And going forward, then it's going to be Mouse Sports. What do you think of that team and how you guys stack up against them?
We recently almost lost 16-0 online, so we're not feeling that confident against them. But it's gonna be different. It's offline. It's a different day, different conditions as well. I can't wait to play them and take revenge and maybe qualify for the playoffs.
All right then, and final thing, overall, how do you fancy your team's chances of taking the DreamHack ASTRO Open Winter 2017 Championship?
I have a really good hope that we can take the whole thing. I think if we go through the playoffs, we have a really good chance. The most difficult is always the groups for us, so yeah.
All right, well, Adil, best of luck. Thank you very much, and congratulations on winning a very tenacious, hard-fought battle. Thank you guys in the crowd as well. It's a pleasure to have you here. Now, Trez, back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Paula. You heard it right there. Scream. The guys are feeling optimistic, looking to extract a little bit of revenge. But I'm going to take just a second to, maybe give a Twitch round of applause for Mr. Vince Hill, Mr. On Fire Vince. This guy coming in way earlier than he'd planned to and crushing it all day long.
Yeah, he's doing a good job. He's done a few extra games that he was meant to do today, and he's just smashing it out. So props to him.
Props to him. Definitely a good sport, a good trooper at that. But nonetheless, a great matchup there. Actually, going to the wire, we did go to overtime there. Where do we want to begin?
Look, there's lots of factors that I think we can probably touch on, but I want to head straight over to the drawing board. I'm sorry to cut Pimp off here, but these are two very pivotal things that are going to be brought to you by
Samsung.
none other than Samsung. So if we're going to head over early, see if production can keep up with me, because I don't mess about. These are two rounds that I think completely just unraveled things for BiG. They could have been in the driving seat if they were able to convert. Now we're just going to play these out. These are anti-ecos, Pimp, that I would love to talk to you about. They're just kind of blind early on the A-bomb site, and this is where the guys from EnvyUs, they thrive on this, and they can play in the chaos.
Yeah, I don't understand, because Gob is one of those guys who like to, as was said in the interview, like do it structured and do it safe. And I don't see them use many Molotovs. I don't see them use too many flashes. I don't see them have any control over anything, basically.
Yeah.
And they're exposed to flanks as well. So in general, that's just some flaws in the way they play the anti-ecos, and it happened more than once.
Yeah, and I want to give massive props to Sixer here. He had a really good impact. So that's one round. The next one that I want to look at here is this round, and it's kind of a similar thing happens. They just go straight into these kind of A executes where they want to go heavy with the Molotovs and smokes. So they use the Molotovs towards quad and towards the MBK spot, which is fantastic. The problem is, when they're going into the site, they don't look like they have their flight path kind of sorted out on where they need to go to set up those anti-eco positions. Like the utility comes in, it's being used in the right positions, but EnvyUs play around the smokes very well.
This round, Gob decides to die in middle as well, which gives up another one. So like Gob doesn't need to do anything in that position. He just needs to make sure that they're not flanking, and he gets information, and potentially he can be the one flanking them when they have to do their retake. So he's basically giving up the entire round by dying right there, and putting even more pressure on the guys on A side. In general, like on cash, you can go in like dry with side with the right Molotov, with the right flashes if you do it properly.
Yeah.
But it didn't seem like they had any ideas behind it. They did throw the Molotovs, they did throw the flashes, but they didn't have like the run system accordingly down to the wire.
Maybe the confidence behind it,
Yeah, I mean, you really don't want to, I guess, go in dry anywhere.
No,
for that matter. Yeah, and I think that's a very important point on its own, but for another time. Let's look at the match statistics here as we kind of look over EnvyUs and BiG on cash. And ultimately, the numbers, to me, can say one thing, but let's talk about this guy, Sixer.
Hey, he normally gets a lot of flack, and he had a fantastic game, and he had a lot of impact on those two eco wins that I was just highlighting, right? He actually, across the board with the AWP as well, he was getting in the thick of it, and he was looking good, and he was doing some flashy stuff, and props to him for having a good game.
Definitely, he looked like Fallen at some point. Yeah. Running around with
That's nice, isn't it?
He did. And it's like, he is a guy who has been struggling a lot on this lineup, who's like praised for being a great teammate, but when you're giving the responsibility, having the AWP, which is a very expensive gun, you have to deliver from time to time. And he sure did this game, and he had, as you said, impact in a lot of rounds, a lot of 3Ks, a lot of 2Ks with the AWP, literally just closing down rounds before they even begun for BiG.
Yeah, I think like the supporting cast definitely wasn't there for BiG in the first half, right? Because they couldn't convert those sitters that they should have. They would have had a lot more rounds, and then leading into the second, they looked good, right? Kiev started to get the action going. Tabs in the first half was finding entries. Then Gob B was maybe that third man. When it should have been next, he geared towards the end. He had a bit more impact. But I think this match was obviously on a nice edge, and the two rounds which you highlighted straight away were probably the reason in which EnvyUs were able to take it, because it was a shaky, it was a wild ride for them, and to get the win on the board in that kind of condition, even on their T side, they looked more dangerous with pistols on those first few eco rounds than I think they did on rifle rounds, which is a scary prospect for them.
Scary prospect, nonetheless, Pimp. I would have to say, what did you predict again?
I predicted Oh, but give me a chance, man.
I just need to brush my own memory. I don't have really time to go back and watch the VOD. I just want to make sure.
You got this one.
I mean, perhaps I don't even have to watch the VOD when I can just head over to strafe.com or even on the Google Play Store, iOS Store, pick up the app and check the score from this last game, which turned out to be quite the barn burner there between EnvyUs and BiG. However, we're going to be jumping into Gambit versus Navi. That will be our next matchup, a winner's match at that. So, when we come back from this commercial break, we're going to be jumping right into that matchup.